メジャー翻訳速報。
メジャー翻訳速報へようこそ。オリオールズの菅野智之投手がメジャー初勝利を挙げました。カンザスシティとの一戦で8対1と圧倒的な勝利に貢献し、スプリッターとファストボールの正確なコントロールで相手打線を抑えました。若きスタージャクソン・ホリデイも3安打と活躍し、まさに打線も投手陣も完璧な試合展開でした。これからも日本人選手の活躍をお届けしていきますので、チャンネル登録とコメントをぜひよろしくお願いします。
No issues whatsoever for the Orioles' big international star signing as he helps deliver an 8-1 win over Kansas City. Welcome to the O's Extra Post-Game Show, everybody. Despite freezing temperatures here in Kansas City, and they continue to drop, it was hot bats for the Orioles tonight as they returned to form. Defense, pitching, offense, everything looked like this is what you expected from spring training from this ball club. Let's go ahead and take a look at the game summary and how this one ultimately broke down for the O's against the Royals in Game 2 of this series. That reminder for you that Kansas City hasn't won back-to-back games yet this season, and the Orioles certainly weren't going to let it happen today. Now, we heard from Jackson Holliday moments ago, 3 for 4, 3 hits off of 3 different pitchers, but again, 2 of those on the changeup, a triple in the mix, drives in 2, bullpen a nice 3 2/3 after Sugano gets to go a little extra on this one. Bobby Witt continues to be Bobby Witt, his first home run of the year in the 6th inning. Michael Wacha 5 2/3 before the Orioles ultimately got to chase him out. As we bring in our own Ben McDonald once more to take a look at this one. And Ben, we have to start with Tomoyuki Sugano. That was kind of a disappointment that he cramped up in Toronto and his outing was cut short, and they kind of chalked it up to nerves. It was his first time. He didn't eat, he didn't drink before like you're supposed to. Today it's business as usual.
Yeah, I mean, look, his first start against Toronto, he was very nervous, Mel. He gives up 2 runs in the first inning. But look, I thought he settled down and was kind of the guy they hoped he would be. You know, in that start, he retired 8 of the final 10 batters he saw. But today, he took a big step forward for me, Mel. I felt like all of his pitches were working. The splitter was really good. He threw that little breaking ball to the outside part. He played through some fastballs, down and in, up and away. There's a good 4-seam fastball to get rid of Perez right there. And he only made one mistake. The one mistake he made, he hung a breaking ball, and Bobby Witt Jr. hits his first home run of the year. But all in all, this is the guy, Mel, that the Orioles thought they were getting. Elite command, the ability to stay out of the center part of the strike zone, to work the corners, elevate when he needs to, work the bottom with that splitter of his. I thought he was outstanding, and we thought he'd be good today because the nerve factor was gone after the first start. He got that out of the way. He kind of settled down. And look, Mel, I think it's going to be more about what you're going to see from Sugano, the ability to stay out of the heart of the plate. He's going to give some length. Let's not forget, he averaged 6 2/3 innings pitched per start last year in Japan. He has the ability to go out there and stretch and give you some innings. He got a little bit of trouble there in the 6th innings. They got him out of the ball game. But all in all, I thought it was a really good start for Sugano.
He was smiling. The body language was completely different for him, and plenty of reason on this one too, because finally he had a lot of nice run support behind him. We've talked about crooked numbers and wanting to see them throughout the game. They jump out first, but then they really tack them on in those later innings starting in the 6th.
Yeah, it was good to see Gary Sanchez, right? He gets his first base hit. That's what got the Orioles on top. And it was a close ball game going to 6, 2-0 ball game. Kerstad just a base hit right back up the middle with a runner at first base, and third base, he plates Mullins right there. And then right behind him, Arias, a ball off the glove, and he beats it out for an infield single, and another run would score on that right there. Ball not hit hard, but a deflection right there. And then Jackson Holliday, what a day it was for the youngster. Boy, 3 base hits from him. There's Kerstad scoring right there. So Jackson Holliday had an outstanding day. 3 base hits for him, including his first triple of the year. So you talk about the 6th inning. Yesterday, the Orioles really barreled up some balls, and they hit them hard. Didn't have a whole lot to show for it. Today, didn't hit the ball extremely hard at times, but the baseball gods shined on the Orioles today. Some of those hits fell in, even when you don't barrel it up all the way. So that's why when the dust settles on 162, Mel, it typically evens out along the course of time. And I tell you what, you know, what a difference a day makes. I felt like this was a totally different team, and we talked about this right at the end of the ball game. This team has shown the last couple of years they can flush bad outings, bad appearances, bad games, flush it, come back out the next day, and the Orioles poured it on. And this is what's impressive for me. They score 8 runs for the 2nd time this year in a ball game without hitting a home run. So, yes, they can beat you a lot of different ways. This team is uber talented offensively, but it does start with the starting pitching. It started with Sugano, and he was able to stack those zeros early and let this powerful offense offense get going, and they really got going.
And I like that it's almost situational awareness, particularly for this ballpark, because it's not just the weather that's really going to make home runs tough. It's that this ballpark is tough against home runs. So you come in today, settle down, stop trying to swing out of your shoes. And really the big question mark for Kansas City coming into the season was their outfield. And the Orioles challenged that a few times this afternoon. But you mentioned it, Tomoyuki Sugano works into a little trouble there. They lift him. They don't need him to get into anything more. But it was a home run single and a hit by pitch. He leaves 2 on. Brian Baker comes in. You and I talked about him in the pregame show, and man, did it look good for him today.
The Bake Show. And look, let's not forget that the Kansas City Royals were the only team in baseball that hadn't done this all year long. Hit into a double play, and Brian Baker comes in a big moment and just rolls a ground ball. Hunter Renfroe hits it to the Gold Glover Urias, who opened Westberg, and Mountie finishes it off on the back end. And you know Baker's fired up. He always is. And this year, Mel, I mean, this is what he's done so far this year. 5 1/3, only 3 hits. Of course, is not allowed to run. And that second to the last column, walks 0, and that's big for Brian Baker. That new arm slot, Mel, that we talked about, they thought that would give him a little more accuracy. It has. The fastball velocity is up. The fastball movement is even better, and the changeup is a really good pitch. So good to see Brian Baker really in his first leverage appearance of the year come up big for the Orioles. And to go back and make your point about this offense 1 through 9, Mel, how about the 7, 8, and 9 hitters for the Orioles? You talk about a good offense. When it's complete, it's up and down the lineup. The 7, 8, 9 hitters for the Orioles today, Urias, Sanchez, and Holiday go a combined 5 for 11 and drive in 5 runs. And when you got that kind of production at the bottom part of your lineup, you have a pretty good lineup.
It's been exciting to see, and we're reminded yet again that Colton Cowser ends up missing out on this trip with his thumb fracture. So you love thinking about what can be, but Ben, we will let you go get warm.
All right, Mel, look forward to tomorrow. The Orioles are going to try to win this series tomorrow.
First series of the year for the O's. Very, very possible on this road trip out to Kansas City. But yes, Jackson Holiday, the flow, everybody contributing today. A big 8-1 win for the O's. You're watching the O's Extra Postgame Show. Orioles with a very nice bounce-back win, 8-1 over the Royals. Still frigid, but no rain this time. And the Orioles, again, clean defense. That offense finding runs all throughout the game and backing up Tomoyuki Sugano, who absolutely looked like the star-studded NPB pitcher we had all heard about. So now it's time to get the skipper's thoughts on this one as we send it downstairs to manager Brandon Hyde.
Brandon, what changes did you see in Sugano today compared to Toronto?
Just thought he looked way more comfortable today. I thought he was probably a little nervous that first start in Toronto, but just really good command like he had in spring training of all of his pitches. Really good split. Fastball command was there. All pitches. Being able to throw anything in any count, keep guys off balance. Thought he was absolutely outstanding today.
There was a big celebration in there for his first one.
They're excited for him right now. I think he's going in the cart right now. So yeah, it's I know he was really pumped up when we were on the handshake line coming through the clubhouse, and we're all excited for him.
Talk about his nerves on his first start. Did he look like he had any nerves today?
No, he looked really comfortable today. Yeah, he looked relaxed. I thought he competed extremely well. You know, get that first start out of the way. And today, I thought it was more like himself.
Also nice to see the bats come alive.
I thought we swung the bat really well all day long. Michael Wacha is not easy. But did a nice job scratching some runs off him early. Gary with a huge two-out RBI single. And then we drove so many baseballs that the wind was blowing straight in. I don't know what the metrics are, but it felt like that we got some home runs taken away from us. But I was really happy with how we swung the bat.
Yeah, you had 6 RBIs in the final 4 spots in the lineup. What does that say about the game?
Thought Heston swung the bat well. Jackson swung the bat extremely well. You know, Urias hit a homer today too that would have gone out anywhere except for the wind was blowing straight in. So yeah, I think that we're dangerous up and down the order. We're dangerous off the bench. There's you know, we have the ability to put a lot of runs up on the board, and we've shown that for the 4 wins. Now we just got to be a little more consistent.
Can you walk through the decision to keep him in there against the lefty, and how happy were you to see?
It's just that lefties, you know, splits are pretty. You know, the lefties have handled him. Like the matchup there, it's pretty early in the game where maybe a righty come back around for him, but just wanted to kind of give him that AB against Long and Jackson too.
Well, and to his point there with the end of the lineup being so balanced, it's having a lineup like that that lets you give Gunnar Henderson a chance to breathe. So he doesn't pick up a hit today, but it's just his second game of the season after missing the first week. And again, pressure off of your all-star a little bit because everybody else can deliver. And for Gary Sanchez, who hadn't found a hit against Michael Wacha previously in his career, this also reinforces Sanchez is still the 5th best catcher all time at Kauffman Stadium in slugging percentage. And he found it again driving in 2 runs early for the Orioles today. So all great things for the O's as they continue to climb ahead. Well, you had the break to think about this one. Who am I? Traded to the Orioles from the Royals back in 2023. See that almost 120 RBI with the O's and a .275 average. He has been an absolutely stellar pickup on all fronts. Can you guess it? It's Ryan O'Hearn, the guy who can play just about everywhere for the Orioles. Mr. DH himself said he once thought he'd have a statue of himself built on a bench here in Kansas City and has found an absolutely new home and a new career in Baltimore. We could not be more happy that Ryan O'Hearn gets to be in an Orioles uniform. But again, the Orioles today, a big 8-1 win over the Kansas City Royals. They jump back in the series and now with a chance tomorrow to win their first series of the season after they split with Toronto and they fell short to the Boston Red Sox. They'll go from here on the road to the Arizona Diamondbacks before they finally get to head back home again for just the second homestand of the young season. But we were looking for a bounce back for Tomoyuki Sugano today after hand cramps removed him a little too early from his debut up in Toronto. And the righty, of course, with his interpreter Yuto Inta to break down what was going on with him. This is what he had to say.
First of all, just how much more comfortable were you compared to in Toronto? Why do you think that was?
トロントと比べてなんかすごい安定して投げれたような気がしたんですけど、前回と違いって何かあったんですか？
やっぱりストライク先行するっていうところを意識して投げたのとまあ単純に前回はその初戦っていうのもあって力みもあったのでまあ落ち着いて試合には入れたかなと思います。
Thought about being ahead of the count with each hitter. And obviously last time through it was my first outing in the major leagues, so but this time I was a little more patient, comfortable.
What was the celebration like after your first one?
まあシャワールームでのお祝いどんな感じでしたか？
いやもう日本だとね優勝した時にしかビールかけてやらないけどなんか本当に祝福してもらってるんだなって気持ちがしてまあさらにここで成功したいなって気持ちになりました。
Typically in Japan, the beer shower only happens during the like when you win the championship. So I was really happy to get that treatment. But yeah, it made me feel like I want to succeed even more.
What does it mean to you to win your first game in the major leagues?
メジャーリーグで1勝目を手にするっていうことは菅野さんにとってどういう意味ですか？
まあもちろん特別なことでありますけどはい、ここ1勝するのを目標に僕は来てないのでとにかく毎試合自分のベストを尽くすのとチームがチャンピオンシップ取れるようにそこだけの目標を持ってやってるのでまあでもとはいえまずはホッとしてます。
Obviously, I'm not here to win one game in the major leagues. I'm here to win day to day and ultimately get the championship. But yeah, after all that, I was still happy.
Were your hands feeling okay during the game?
今日は試合中手に関しては問題なかったですか？
汗もかかないぐらい寒かったので大丈夫です。
It was too cold. I didn't sweat at all. So yeah, everything went well.
I know you certainly appreciate the run support, but it's tough sitting in the dugout for that long during a lengthy inning.
多分結構得点してくれて、イニング間ちょっとじっとしてる時間が長かったと思うんですけど、そこの影響って何かありましたか？
そうですね。最後の6回のところは自分の中で気をつけて座らないようにしたりとか工夫はしてたんですけど、さすがにちょっと寒さだと体が固まってしまって先頭バッターにやられてしまったので反省はしないといけないですけどそれ以上にもうこういう寒いところで投げたくないなっていう気持ちの方が強いです。
Sixth inning before I went out, it was obviously cold, but I try to move around just to keep myself warm. But yeah, like I gave out the home run to Witt, and but I'll try to be careful next time, making sure I keep myself warm. But ideally, I don't want to pitch in a cold weather like this.
The weather may not have been ideal, but the outcome certainly was. Pitchers of record for today, Tomoyuki Sugano picks up the win, his first in his major league career, drops that ERA to a 2.89. Michael Wacha, his second loss, and a 4.66 ERA after the Orioles continued to get to him. His history repeated itself, just in a different uniform this time around. But good things for the Orioles, an 8-1 win over the Royals. Gary Sanchez getting him on the board early with a pair of runs plated by the backstop. We'll wrap up the O's Extra Postgame Show next. Well, let's take a look at tomorrow. The Orioles with a chance for their first series win, and in Kansas City, it'll be the lefty Cade Povich, 6.23 ERA after his debut on the year, 2.78 opponent average for the revamped southpaw, taking on another in Chris Bubic. 1-0 overall, 6 innings his last time out, an opponent average of 143. He has been one of the bright young stars for the Royals. This is a great youthful matchup for baseball. You've been watching the O's Extra Postgame Show. Again, tomorrow's the finale between the O's and Royals in Kansas City. Coverage on MASN begins at 1:30 p.m. with O's Extra. For Kevin Brown, Ben McDonald, our entire wonderful MASN crew, this is Melanie Newman. Orioles, a beautiful, balanced 8-1 win over the Royals. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. We'll be back for some brunch and baseball tomorrow. Enjoy your evening, Birdland.
メジャー翻訳速報。
いかがでしたか？ NPB スターとしての実力を遺憾なく発揮し、防御率も 2.89 まで下げました。明日はオリオールズとロイヤルズの最終戦、ケイド・ポビッチとクリスの若手左腕対決も見どころです。引き続き日本人選手の活躍をお届けしますので、チャンネル登録と高評価をお願いします。次回の動画もお楽しみに。ご視聴ありがとうございました。